Yo, 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 yo. It is your boy. Oh, is that? Hold on. We're gonna need to fix this. That's a little too. Gonna have to do some improvising today. Yeah, that's probably fine. Can you see me? Okay, it is your boy, Self-Love Gangsta. And I have some exciting news. Oh my god. Sorry. I was this close to giving the fuck up. And I kind of did, guys. I kind of did give up. The last few days in particular. Man, oh man, dude. When y'all, people, boys and girls, when I tell you this process of 365 days, asking myself the question, what would somebody who loved themselves do? It's gotten me fucked up, man. It truly, it is, when they tell you self-love and going on a self-love quest or journey, whatever you want to call this shit, is the most difficult process that you can go on in this life. They're not kidding. This shit, oh my god, man, every demon, every fucking demon that you have, you're confronted with it. It could not be harder, man. This shit is not for the faint of fucking heart. I'm sorry I'm cursing so much. I'm not sorry, fuck that, fuck you. I'm going to curse, this shit is hard. This ain't the Huxtable family hour. It's not a family program. Like, self-love is brutal. It's ugly. It's beautiful, but it's also brutal. It's both equal parts brutal and beautiful, all in one. And so, anyway, this is why I was saying this is probably the most... Did I say that before? I don't know. My memory is so... it's rough. But if I didn't say it before, I probably did. But in case not, this is one of the most important updates. Because like I said before, and that I do remember, I almost gave up. That is true. This process has taken all of my inner strength and put it into question. All of my inner resilience, all of my dedication. And everybody else, by the way, who embarks on such a journey. The last day in particular was just not asking myself the question really at all, or if I did, I was like, what would somebody who loved themselves do? Fuck that question, man. Fuck that fucking question. I'm not doing that shit, man. And this shit in my groin area was fucking me up especially. I feel like the more I asked myself the question, the more I didn't want to do it yesterday. And pretty much a few days prior. And the more I've also been realizing, like, yeah, just because I know, kind of, like, on paper, what's going on, this really is just my self-hating parts, me trying to resist them, be like, no, let's go in the direction of self-love, without addressing the self-hate that is very much there and very powerful and influential within my being, as it can be for a lot of us who struggle with self-love. It is very serious to actually see that you are not your self-hating parts, to detach. But the problem is, prior to this, maybe I'd seen like tiny little glimpses of that, but it wasn't until this morning that after, again, it's always when you think like I'm cooked, like I'm done. That's when you have the biggest breakthroughs. When you think you're finished, you're only just beginning. At least that's how it feels. As long as you don't give up on yourself. but that's just the way it feels to me. When I was sitting on my bed, it's a couch. I sleep on a couch, if you recall. If anybody's following this shit at this point, I don't know. But I sleep on a couch. I rest on the couch. I hang out. That's where it's like my hangout zone. And I was sitting there, and I was just like, fuck this. Like, I'm in so much pain. My groin region is on fire. I feel like I'm gonna lose my testicles. Like, this pain is so bad, I feel like my flesh is just gonna fucking disintegrate. And so why even try? It's like the more I try, what does even self-love mean to me? If this is self-love, then I don't want to do it. If that's self-loving. Of course it's not. Of course I wasn't. I just didn't see what I just saw at that point. And so I gave up. I was like, you know what? I've been trying and trying and trying. And so I gave up. I just was going on a YouTube binge. Hitting that old, hitting those digital narcotics, as a lot of us probably do. And I, was just like I was resigned to my failure or completely unlatching myself from this process, from this commitment of self-love for 365 days. And was like, it ain't working anymore. And just was scrolling for hours and kind of fading in and out. I had worked earlier, and the whole day went by too. It was towards the end of the day, I guess yesterday night, and then early in the morning past midnight, and kind of was coming in and out. And the minute I guess I let go and just completely let go of any outcome and like caring, that's when, maybe you've found this too, but that's when I realized like, I feel so much better. I feel so much more dedicated to wanting to not necessarily fix myself, but it was like, I could see myself making some positive changes. I guess whereas compared to before, it was more from a lens of fix it, improve the situation, right? And that was really not helping, And when I was sitting there, I was like, well, wow, why wasn't I just doing this all day? Because I feel like I was making more progress in terms of doing something that is at least caring for myself. Like, rest did feel so good and so tranquil. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not trying hard at all, though. But ironically, I feel so much more of a love and appreciation for the self-love process and myself and everything that's going on. Kind of not being as resistant to it. And just, it felt like more of an acceptance, It's hard to put into words the feelings that were coming up, and the sort of relief and release of all that tension by just giving up and kind of giving in. So fast forward to this morning, I ended up sleeping, woke up and was like, okay, I feel way better. Why did I decide, like I in a fit of desperation and just self-doubt, I was like, I don't think I'll be able to afford, the rent is very cheap where I'm staying. It's, I'm living with family, and so I only have to pay $300 a month. But even that, yesterday I was like, well, I can't work and pay the rent. I can only do this one job. And I kind of went down the spiral and thought, well, I just got to leave and move back home, like where my mom's house, right? Where another family member lives that I don't get along with very well at all, and it's way worse the situation, but I wouldn't have to technically pay any rent. I just have to pay for my own gas, groceries, and other things. But that sucks. I don't want to do that. That's a downgrade, because at least here I still get along with these other family members for the most part, even though it's not perfect. I can still rest easier at night without my heart pounding out of my chest. So anyway, that was a really long-winded a way of saying I made a decision to, out of a fit of desperation and spiraling downward and grief and frankly self-doubt and self-hate. And when I woke up this morning, when I sat up in bed, again, it's my couch, when I sat up on my bed couch, I sat there and then I finally, it clicked. Like, I am not my self-hate. And I know that would that feel like a big deal to you, hearing this on probably not, no. The answer is no. And it wasn't to me either. When I would watch other videos and materials on discussing like how it's harder to make any real progress with anything if you're too identified with certain aspects of your being or certain parts. And I finally could feel in real time the reality of that. Does that make sense to you? Like, when I sat up and I had this moment where I was like, I've fallen in a point where I could really feel my vulnerable aspects and my aspects that were hurting and wanting to rest and wanting to just feel relief and joy and to feel unconditionally accepted. And then on the other side, I could feel my self-hating parts that there's no rest. You're not allowed to rest. You're not allowed to stop working. You're not allowed to stop moving. We cannot afford to stop moving, motherfucker. Like, that's what the self-hating parts feel like. Like, just constant motion, constant a whirlwind of hatred towards myself and like force. There's no ease. Everything's forced, intense, and brutal. There's definitely a very palpable brutality to those self-hating parts. And so anyway, I kind of saw past the veil this morning and really noticed that's it. That's what I've had a friend who's very advanced when it comes to doing inner work, parts work, kind of seeing the higher things from a higher view, the truth of things, and is way more efficient and better at that than me when dealing with those concepts and the reality of our inner worlds. They're very good at that. And I remember her getting mad at me prior and being like, you are just agreeing with your self-hate. Like, that's not actually you. You're just kind of throwing your hands up, basically. You're not recognizing that, no, you are not your self-hating parts. You're just treating yourself the way your parents treated you. But it didn't click to me. I was like, but they're making me do it. The reality is, they're not making me do shit. They're not making me do shit. Can you believe that? Can you believe it? Big towers and plane going by? Can you guys believe it? I can't fucking believe it. It's really hard to put this into words, so please forgive me. But this is a big deal. Because I went from like, I want to kill myself. I was feeling extremely suicidal. I've been struggling with suicidality basically all my life. And it didn't really come to realizing like how gripping my depression and self-hate was until my later years, teens, 20s, etc. Which I'm sure you can imagine. That's pretty typical, I would think. And I'm basically on the verge of homelessness if it weren't for being able to live with family. It's been hard to really figure out and see through the fact that, no, I can do more. with less right now and maybe move in with a friend or something. But that's beside the point. The point is, I was able to kind of see outside myself this morning and see the higher view of things. And the truth is, I am not my self-hating parts. I could feel that desynchronization from that lens. It is like a lens. And you get so attached to it. If you struggle with self-hate, you know what I'm talking about. If you are struggling through your self-love process, you know what I am talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And so, this morning, I feel a little bit freer again. I feel a little bit more like it's possible again. I feel a little bit more committed to you again. And committed to myself again. And maybe as corny as that sounds, fuck, I don't give a shit. I just want to get back to committing to life. And my groin feels better. Huh. The burning is gone down. Huh. Imagine that. You are not your self-hate. But it takes doing things, I think I realized, that's why it's so important that's what they mean when they say deal with your resistance. That's what Teal means. That's where I should give credit where credit is really due. That's what Teal Swan has said to do. You need to deal with the resistance before you do anything else. And it's true. You do need to do that. That's what it looks like. Because for just a moment, finally seeing like, I'm taking the lens off, like on a physiological level. Like it was a feeling. It was on a feeling level, an emotional level, a mental level, all of the above. Like it was almost like, because like the really vulnerable part, the part that wants to do self-love and like do it in a genuine way. It needs to be real and be a really caring process towards myself. And then the other part of me that I identify with way more, which is like the slave driver part, the part that's like, I'm cracking my own whip on myself, like forcing myself to just work myself to exhaustion. That part, it was hard to see, like, no, I am not that. There's a center me in the middle that's neutral, right? Or at least that's what it felt like at that moment. But maybe it is just like pure and loving in there in the middle. It could very well be that too. Yes, it probably is. This is uncharted territory for you, boy. So you are not your self-hate. I'm not my self-hate. I could see from finally within that experience the higher reality here, that it's hard to really take serious on paper or when people talk about this in YouTube videos. I don't know how much this would even help you, because you do need to actually experience this kind of thing yourself. So I guess at this point maybe it's just for me, and I'll probably be watching this back later, because it's going to come in handy probably. But I'm going to investigate more the concept of disidentification, because I think that's been the biggest culprit here. There's too much of an emotional charge. It wasn't until I kind of got into a neutral state that the lens was able to kind of pop off effortlessly. And I was back kind of at like, you kind of need to get, I don't even want to call it square one, because we're not at square one. We've made all this progress. We're more at like a baseline level of consciousness, or a neutral level of focus, of conscious focus, whatever the hell you want to call it. Either way, it doesn't matter what you call it. It's liberation to me. So I guess where do we go from here? Whatever you do, if you are to engage in a self-love process, I mean, this is a message I guess I'm mostly making for